for speeders
Oh, definitely.
when he's there.
Yeah,
Tell me again your name.
I'm Heather Peterson. I used to live next to your daughter April, when they lived, where Doug is now.
Do you work for the city now?
No, I do not. I'm an accountant.
She didn't even hesitate.
No, I don't.
I knew your face was familiar. But
Yeah.
I'm just terrible.
That's all right.
So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself for the purposes of the recording?
Deb Qualter.
Thank
Do you
you.
need an address?
No,
Cassie Muller.
thanks, Cassie. Deb McIsaac, Mayor. So we've gathered here today to discuss Lovely Avenue and options. All of you have called City Hall and or me and have expressed concerns about the traffic flow on Lovely Avenue. And so I said it might be easier if we just get all in a room and try to explore options so we can figure out what to do. And so let's start with everybody's initial thoughts. Let's do that. And then, so the way I see this going is that I'm here to provide a venue and I'm here to provide any support the city can do. But really, this is, hello, Ryan.
Hi.
You want to introduce yourself?
I'm Ryan Siding, I represent Ward Two.
Perfect. And so, basically, this is what we would like to start having, which is citizen action committees. You know, so if there's a point of interest or there's citizens that want to do something, we want to provide that support and whatever resources we can have to throw at it that we, more hands make lighter work, right? And so if we can engage people in areas that they're passionate about, then it helps City Hall employees, it helps the elected officials to be able to accomplish more and with help. So we appreciate you guys coming. How do you want to start about what your, concerns were and possibly brainstorm solutions kind of thing?
My husband can give you a lot more detail than I can, because he was the one that did a lot of the research for me.
Okay.
Where I live right on the main highway as you're going out of town to the east. So there is constant speeding. It feels like we're in a drag strip. Pretty much, because it's like everybody speeds as soon as they get past the crosswalk and tries to race until the stop sign. And my biggest concern is with that new development coming in with an accident being there, just because there is a decline, there's a hill there. And now that there is a bike path there, there is a lot of people that are walking on that highway and a lot of continuous speeding. The main reason why I had called you before is Baltic is having a baseball tournament in town. And that was a very busy weekend with lots of traffic coming in. Plus we have a lot of truck traffic that drives past with that new dairy that is up. And there was a family that was trying to cross, and you should be able to cross at that crosswalk because there is a flashing yellow light. Well, people were continuously speeding through, and we watched, it was a family that had kids on pedal bikes, the mom was on a pedal bike, and one of the children almost got hit by a car. Because people continue to speed through town, and the speed limit changes way past east of our house. And people do not slow down, they just continue to speed until they get close to.
Yeah, it's been an issue coming into town, it's leaving town too, both ways. I just come into town just now, 25-mile-an-hour car in front of me was brake lights, pass railroad tracks. Like, if you want people to slow down here, you need to put the sign back there. Because people see that and, oh, that'll do it down here. The issue on the east side of town is gonna be the new development going eastbound over the top of that hill. And coming westbound over the top of the hill, 6th Street, there's already been an accident there. Girl was leaving, making a right turn, some guy was flying into town smoking. Now we have pedestrians walking back and forth now too, with bike path coming up on the east side. They're using our ditch or our roadway, which I'm fine with. But if they're using the shoulder of the road and you got someone leaving town at 55 miles an hour, when it's technically 25 until you get to the 45.
Right.
Someone's gonna
And
get
the
killed.
45 is past the Phillips
They moved-
Crossing entrance.
They moved it.
40, not 45, 40.
40.
Yeah. I guess
Yes,
that
it's
was-
25 to the, you cannot,
I thought it was.
by state, whatever, you're not supposed to increase your speed till you get to the stop sign.
Yeah, it's not a speed up when you.
When you see it, right.
Your speed is after that.
Mhm.
And we've lived in Baltic since 2006.
2000, yeah, 2006 we moved there. And
Help me
I,
with your name, please.
my name's Keith Peterson.
This is
Thank
my,
you, Keith.
I've been at odds with the sheriff's department about the speed coming in town. And it goes in one year and out the other. I've talked to deputies personally. I've called the sheriff to talk to, what would be the chief, I believe. I don't know how they deem that. And nothing, there, it's not an enforcement issue, because you could have more law enforcement here. Keep your eye on what they're doing in town.
They're not.
Most of the time,
over.
they're down here. I would be curious to see the citation per hour rate of the enforcement that the city is paying for. What exactly are you getting for your money when the deputies are sitting in town?
I will say that during the morning school hours.
Yeah,
They are really good because they sit right by the school and
I don't think they are.
If they're
that's it.
If they're present, because one morning, my wife was after she dropped off the girls, or was about to turn on the fourth to drop off our girls. A car passed the row of cars
Yes.
next to the fire station. Just went around them as fast as they
Oh, on
could.
the
And
right
the
side.
cops-
On the right side, yeah.
Across the road from the fire station, and there's a big kid that walks on that crosswalk
Yep, there
every
is,
day.
yep.
And
Every
a
day.
car went right around and just nearly clipped him, and the cop did nothing.
Completely illegal.
there's a lot of times that the sheriff sits in the fire department
Yeah.
and is inside the fire department, but his vehicle is there.
So, yeah, that raises a whole other point, like, what is Baltic getting for the money that they're paying the sheriff's department?
We don't, like, they don't need to be wild with it, but like with like all their things, cause there's a balance, right? You're a peace officer and you're doing those things. If someone is riding their bike, whatever, the speeding and the traffic is what the focus is on the complaints and monitoring that kind of activity in town, because we don't have a ton of other issues,
No,
but that Lovely is wild.
it's ridiculous,
It
it's
is.
getting worse.
I purposely go below the speed limit just so people have to.
Run out in front of or pulled my car out because I'm on Douglas right off of Lovely, and I will put the nose of my car out to slow people down because they're going 45 in a school zone and there's children coming.
Right.
Well,
There's-
like you live a block away from school and you can't have your kids walk to school because you have trucks and cars and people don't look,
No,
they don't slow down, and then it's not being enforced
Yeah.
to slow down.
Well, that's why we have that four-way stop at Fifth and Bulldog, is because one of
Yeah.
Oshmer's boys was coming down that hill and he couldn't stop his bicycle, and high school girl,
So
And I don't think
But
that
people aren't stopping for that stop sign.
no, it's a rolling stop, but.
it's rolling at least,
Yeah.
and that's when I talked to a guy,
Jacob.
Jacob at the county. And asked how they address stop signs, when they put them up and when they don't. And it's obvious, the obvious answer is based on traffic accidents.
Like that.
I don't,
Why
know,
not
because
kids
some,
not
and
get
that's,
hits?
and that's what, and even he said, city of Sioux Falls bases where they put up traffic based on accidents. So the underlying in the worst case is someone has to pay a price before that stops it. That's just how, I'm just saying that that's how they approach it.
We want to be small town and proactive instead
No.
of reactive.
I've heard complaints that the farmers are gonna get mad. All over the place. I am in small towns, I am in big towns. There are traffic signs, stop signs in the dumbest places.
Yeah,
And I know the purpose of it is to make you slow down through town. They are using the county, I say Jacob, southeast side of Sioux Falls. He said there's a bad corner. It must be eastbound going north up to where that park is on the far east side of town.
Armadon,
Armada where the quarry, that like quarry walkways and stuff is.
that's West Sioux Park.
Way out on where Highway 11 is going, anyway,
26th Street, Highway 42 intersect there, because 26th Street comes around and meets into,
where it goes, it comes around and goes north. The street that he's talking about, you're eastbound and then it goes north, it's a sharp corner.
yeah,
They're considering putting a stop sign up there to purposely do what he said there's no point in doing is to slow people down before that corner. Because there's been a lot of accidents in that corner.
It's not even a block.
My
before you get
hope
to
would
the
be
highway.
if we put stop
Yeah,
signs
so-
in, that if our local law enforcement are not ticketing the speeders, they will ticket the people that don't
They
stop.
probably won't. But the
Well-
I
thing,
have a question.
yes,
You had mentioned the blinking yellow light up on Sixth Street.
It's only
Is
on
that-
certain-
That's for the crosswalk.
it's for
So it's the
pedestrian.
pedestrian,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's on a timer, and you don't feel that the vehicles.
no, they.
Well, the issue was last year when they had the,
I was telling them.
yeah, when the shoe.
It's a yellow light though.
It's
It's
a
not,
yellow
it's
light.
not,
Well,
it's
it's-
not a red where you have to stop.
No, it's an
No,
LED,
it's on the side.
yeah, it's an LED border on the sign, running
And
solar.
forgive me, I drive by it all the time. I just, I can't picture it in my
Well,
head.
we don't have to you drive.
It's only on certain.
Do you do the speed limit through
Like,
town?
the kids are not moving at speed.
Okay.
I plead the fifth.
So it's easy to miss.
What do you guys think is a solution out by your house then to deter people or to slow them down?
You know, my first thought was to put a stop sign right there, right at that cross, where those children cross. And me saying that we should put a stop sign on there, the only person that's gonna complain about the stop sign
You are.
is me trying to
Well,
get out
yeah.
of my driveway, because everybody's gonna be backed up.
People coming into town during harvest season, they come in fast. The farmers come in really fast during harvest season, obviously they're in a hurry, but putting a stop sign up is gonna annoy a lot of people. Jacob said that Crooks had the same issue, that is a long drive through Crooks at 25 miles an hour. They put up flashing signs, which are very expensive.
Mhm.
Like they're $300 to $500 a piece for those your speed signs. Yet he said it was a marked improvement. There's no exact evidence, it's just anecdotal. They never did a study on speed study after they did it to see if the percentage of slowdown.
You mean the sign that had, this is your speed?
This is your
Yeah.
speed. I see them everywhere and I see brake lights when people are coming in fast.
We've asked for it. I
Yeah,
personally have spoken to an officer who was at a couple of our city
it has to
meetings.
be,
He promised them. And they've never,
but it has to
He
be.
doesn't have the
Did
authority
the
to
city
make that
purchase
promise.
it?
No, the city purchases these.
Yeah.
Yes.
These are these are a speed sign that the city purchases. The county won't do it. The sheriff's department can't do it. The only thing the sheriff's department can do is bring out the temporary one, which they have.
Which they have.
we have.
And I can watch when that's been done. Obviously, it wasn't video in it, which I would have done. Brake lights,
Yeah.
because they're effective.
Mhm.
How long are they effective? Are they effective halfway through town? Are they effective leaving town?
Right.
Because if
Because
you
they're
really
not
buy,
effectively
if you buy one, two on each side coming in, you gotta buy another leaving. So now you're into it for four. Would a stop sign be cheaper on either side? Yeah, probably.
And the effectiveness will go away over time.
I can honestly say that, there's one down by Renner.
Yeah, going through there. it's-
I can't say that I'm slowing down.
Well,
before
I do
that,
55 through there,
but,
it's
you know,
suggested 45, but the speed limit through Renner is 50.
They have a flashing, what's your speed sign
Yeah, I
before you
know.
go to Renner?
And they put that up
55.
because
People-
Of the
Um,
accidents.
a fatality
Yeah,
with people excessive speed.
Yes.
Now, is
But
Renner gonna
it took
put up, I mean, eventually, Renner gets busy enough, that could be a traffic light.
It could be.
Yeah.
And it's busy as that intersection is,
Well, and once they develop commercially right by something,
Well,
it's
the
very,
amount-
very likely.
side
the
track.
amount of idiots at that corner.
Yeah,
It is, it's crazy. I take that way twice a day. It
Yeah,
is
same here.
crazy. every
and check
day.
up when you're northbound, watching the side traffic, cause I just know someone's gonna,
Yeah, Because you can't, because it's hard to
it's
get.
hard to get up.
Yep.
You know?
So I appreciate your guys' feedback. Kathy, no, there's never too much. There's never too much. I mean, it's impossible for the city staff and elected officials to see all the things that everybody sees. That's why this conversation is really important.
We sit outside our house.
I have neighbors that do that. I've sat outside your neighbor's house and watched people just, and like, well, that ain't 30. I mean, I've seen it over and over and
Yeah.
over. So Cassie, your turn.
I mean, my initial thoughts, because I mean, I think about people getting tipped off with the stop signs and things like that, is to throw out. My initial thought was speed bumps, and that's because I was reading different cities and doing that. Because people will stop and slow down for the speed bumps. Jen made a great point that they would have to be something that was removable because the plows aren't gonna enjoy that. So it would have to be something, again, that like city can pull out, but then we can pull or put out and we can pull off. For people to slow down, but then like a stop sign is a stop sign. There's so many kids in the neighborhood that want to walk to school
Mhm.
and parents aren't letting them because of that traffic. And it's wild to just see people just completely disregard anything, and you see kids or you see families that do try to ride the bikes. Our neighbor was riding the bike with her 2 kids, and her daughter kind of lost her balance a little, and I just like stopped reading for a second because these cars are flying by, and I think a stop sign by Wagon Wheel and in front of the school sign right there, it's a lot, I understand. But people have to slow down, and that's why it's either a stop sign or a speed bump, or if we pull out the rolling stop signs during specific times, so it trips people's mind up and they don't get used to it. And or I'll let Deb tell, I had briefly talked to Deb about her idea about the speed limit changes, so. I don't know,
Okay,
as a community member and someone who wants to stay here, I'm willing to be inconvenienced. So that I'm not having to hear about animals running across the road. We had
very
someone
sad.
who
very
lost
sad.
a little boy was walking a dog, a small animal, and the dog got away from him, and someone ran the dog over because they might not have been going too
That was
fast, but
awful. Yeah.
there's just a reaction time. We're all human.
Yeah.
Slow down.
Could have been a kid.
It's not worth it.
Mhm. Deb, your turn. Any more, Cassie?
No.
I've lived here since 76. We are right across from the football field. And I can tell you, when we first moved here, there were no speed limit signs. And it was off to the races all the time. When they put in the speed limit signs, they put them in, they left them for 4 days. And then they came out, 7 law enforcement people. It was like a circus with the lights and sirens. Because if you were going X amount over the speed limit, you got a warning. If you were excessively over the speed limit, you got a ticket. They did it for 2 days and it slowed people down for a long time because you never knew when they were going to do it again. I think we want a 4-way stop up at the car wash. And I agree, we need a 3-way or an all stop where the electronic school sign is, because that's where I see kids and kids crossing. I know we've got a crosswalk further down or further west by the fire department, but most of the kids are not using that one. They're using the other one and taking a
So
shortcut
using
around
Douglas,
the edge of the track.
using Douglas, okay.
So,
And by the way, it's kind of cool if they like plow the track there so the kids can come in the back way as opposed to having to walk all the way around. That's kind of nice.
but, the other thing is, and this is not my idea, it's something a friend had mentioned to me after being in my driveway and seeing people flying through. She lives up here, rural Del Rapids. She said, I don't know why you guys don't make it a 40-mile speed limit all the way out to Baltic Corner.
That's the county has to do.
That's
Yeah.
right, but I mean, I would think they would maybe listen to a request or a recommendation from our city. Because then you don't have people passing your driveway, ramping up to their 55-mile-an-hour speed before they're even at the top of the hill
Right.
there. And so that they're 55 or 60 before they hit the 55. You have people coming in that are in a 40
Mhm.
all the way, or 25 needs to go further east, in my opinion.
We can only take the 25 to the city limits.
And
So
I
it's
was
within our
within
control,
right
I
now
believe.
with the new
It's-
division.
Pretty close to the new division,
Yeah.
actually.
But, yes, it at most needs to be 40. And if people are saying that there's as much speeding on the east side as there is on the or on the west side as there is on the east side,
Well, it's
then I think
almost,
we need to reduce that 55.
it's,
Because most people don't slow down until they get to the bridge.
right.
Yeah, that is true.
So, but my concern,
The
know.
one thing that helps though over here by the bridge is that there's a really sharp curve
At
in
least
the
there's a curve
ballpark, you know? Because I mean, people aren't taking it as fast.
You're not going 55.
but I've seen kids almost get creamed
Yeah.
coming out of the park on their bikes.
Yeah,
And now our walk thing on the bridge is, or taped off as closed. And I don't know why, or for
There's-
anyone,
There's a hole in the concrete.
Yeah, there's a little.
but so the kids can't go on there, they have to be on the bridge if they're, or anyone who's walking.
right.
Cause we do see a lot of dog walkers.
Right.
One other added benefit I think that stop signs would add, at least a couple of them, is if it deters, how much of that traffic is through traffic?
Yeah, make them go around. Don't,
Because if you gotta go this way and there's a bunch of stop signs,
yeah.
you're gonna find a different way to go where you're going.
You know, and like I was saying earlier before you came with that dairy that's just opened up, there's
Yes.
been a lot more traffic coming through.
Oh, it's big, and with the,
A lot
with the
more.
addition going in, the developments, the big trucks.
Oh,
And
yeah.
the big side dumps, the big gravel trucks, there's no way they could stop, and there's no way that they're
Yeah.
anywhere near our 25
Yeah.
mile limit hour zone.
And
To your point about people aren't gonna like it and they're gonna be mad, you know what I think?
I don't care.
I don't care, where are they?
yeah,
This would be their opportunity
Yeah,
to
speak
come and
up.
speak their mind if they don't want something happening.
I even thought about, an idea came about putting a stop sign where that new development is. You know,
Yeah,
granted,
that's
there is not enough traffic there, because
Not
there's
yet.
nobody coming in and out, but instead of doing it by our house,
East
by,
of it.
just do it to the east where that new development entrance is, and then you
'Cause
have
that's
one
gonna
at
be a
the,
dangerous
you have,
intersection.
yeah, it's.
Yeah,
gonna be
them
really
taking a
bad.
left on that is gonna be hard with that downhill
Yes,
road.
and
Don't know
putting a
what's out
stop
to the
sign
hill.
right there, and then you put one by the wagon wash, and then you've got a big distance. The only problem is, I don't remember who had said it to us, but people like to race to the next stop sign.
I read it, just if you read pros and cons of stop sign usage,
Mhm.
one of them that comes up, and I don't know if you wanna call it well, nothing will work, that would work. There's people like that in the world that,
Yeah.
there's
But they're
nothing.
gonna see that different.
Exactly, and one of the reasons posited was, well, people just gonna race between stop signs. Well, they already racing through town anyway, so at least they have to slow down at one point.
And be as attentive to the corner.
And it's stopping at the crosswalk.
And
It
if-
should be crossed there.
And if they're racing, your double lane ends at the car wash. It goes.
Well, I'm not talking like a, race, I'm just, people had to slow down, so now they're hurrying up because.
But we
they
have
just-
seen the racing.
Yeah, I know, I can't, that's a whole other issue. I haven't seen any drag racing in town.
Yet.
They do fly around like where the wagon wheel is on that right turn, when people wanna make a right turn to go north into that development. If somebody's going slow westbound, they'll pass along that right side to get. And that's, I don't think that's a lane.
The right lane heading west,
Well, why is that wide?
The turn lane going north.
That turn lane runs all the way across, I mean, it's great for walking it if you're brave.
Probably because like the daycare is there and the.
But it's like a full
It's like a
additional
second
lane
lane.
across.
Like people use it
I
as a
think they
second
did
lane.
that preemptively because of the commercial development that they expected, and when they were putting in Lovely, they thought, well, we might as well make this a multi-lane, that's me guessing. Because, for the person that I do turn north on that street whenever I come into town, it's nice to have that lane.
Sure,
Yeah.
It's a great thing, and then also they were talking about doing the same thing for Lovely all the way through.
And we
So-
voted it out. The property owners in the 400 block there, between the school sign and where it is double,
You
showed
lose
up
a
in
lot of
force and
frontage.
voted it out.
You know, you lose a lot of frontage if you did that.
Well, people have a right to.
Well, the reason it got voted on the
They
shop
get to
point is
decide.
because we had people living in Hillside who were over the road truckers with refrigerator trucks that were parking them in front of people's homes and leaving them run all night. And where it is double before you get to the fire station. And that was disruptive to the homeowners that live there, and they were speaking enough about it. That's why you've got your overnight parking signs there now.
Yes,
Um,
kind of non sequitur, but
yeah,
Brian, do you have anything to add to this conversation?
I've been paying attention more to the speeders as of late anyway. And since school started, I've noticed that majority of it are young drivers. And with young drivers, you're always gonna do that. I did it as a kid, you know, I mean, we're young, we're stupid. That is something that we probably should sit down with Civic or the principals and make a mention, you know, hey, by the way, school's in. Please slow down, you know, we're gonna have to involve the school on that issue. Somewhere along the line too.
Well, you know, it could be a request of having it in driver's ed. And then reinforcing it, you know, throughout, you know, because we're all young. I mean,
Yeah,
everybody does it.
Mhm.
well.
So these-
I've
let me
been
recap.
passenger in your vehicle and I'm surprised I'm still alive.
That's true, that's true. Yeah,
is there a way to request? Point about enforcement, yeah, you don't want to overly policing the town, but there is a reason that there's quotas.
Mhm.
Everybody's heard at the end of the month, people, they gotta get their quotas. Why is there not a quota for the enforcement that Baltic is paying for?
So let me recap the things that you say, because I think that'll help address that
Sorry.
question. And so, what I've heard is your questions about the citation per hours quotas. What exactly is our, details of our contract? I don't know. I haven't gotten to that. It's been a peeling of the onion experience. And so, I'm happy to look into that and share with you guys the details of that agreement, so that way we're all educated and then we have that available to all of the taxpayers.
Put it on the website too.
Yeah, so that way we know what we're paying for, okay? And so, that's something that I can definitely take as an action item, so that way we all know what we're doing. And then there's another point of discussion. Do we want to renegotiate that? Are we happy with that? Do we feel that they're meeting those expectations? You know, that's the whole conversation. So that's one lane that I see. And then as far as traffic brainstorming solutions, which is really great that you guys all brought ideas to the table, is I heard this is your speed sign, a legit stop sign, a rolling stop sign, the blinking lights, I didn't write that one down. The blinking, and then, you know, there's also, you know, pedestrian right of way, you know, where like we could do the button and then it's red and then you have to stop. It's the law.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna,
And so there are those things because, you know, inarguably, you guys have made complete valid points, but there's other times where there aren't pedestrians. It doesn't mean that they should speed up those times. However, I don't know how anybody could disagree with the points that you guys have made. Everybody wants their kids getting to school safely. The walkability of this city is questionable at best, right? You know, there's been a strategic decision for years not to have sidewalks. And so now people are going, we want our sidewalks. And so, you know, that's something that we talk about consistently. And so, I talked to our, to ISG, who is currently our contracted engineer for a couple of other projects that we're doing in the city. And that's the page that I brought up here. I wanted to look at the map because I wanted to see where the actual city limit was. That's why I brought this up, because I wanted to see exactly where it landed. So those two houses that are west of town, apparently one's in town and one's not. I didn't know that. I thought they were both in town. So that's news to me. So, I believe the speed limit is right around that city limits too, where it goes to 25. Doesn't it go to 25 there?
no.
Before the bridge.
Yeah. Yeah. I
It
thought
Yeah.
goes at 25 before the curve,
west of the bridge.
Yeah.
west, very west of the houses.
Yeah, so I think that there, that break point is there. Over here, it's at that intersection, I believe, and then it goes 40 right
It
after.
goes
So-
25 between Doug's house and our house.
Okay, and then 40 on Bruns's land, basically, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
before you get to Doug's house, it's 40,
Okay,
cause they
So-
just put that up,
Yeah,
yeah, because they.
and that helped.
Well, and I do
Yeah.
think that with these people living now on 7th Street, I do think that starting 25 at city limits makes a ton of sense. Because then people recognize this the new city limits, you know?
but can you move the 25 to the north side of the road,
When that's at the county.
east of Seventh Street.
I think we can take it to city limits is my understanding.
But the city limits is not on the north side of the highway.
Oh, that's right.
You could take it
That's what
25 out.
Yep, you're right. Yeah, I don't know the answer to that question. That's a
Okay,
question.
So that's, you gotta talk to county about that.
Okay, so speed limit issues is something that, you know, we're having to research. And so, so again, I wanted to let you know when I talked to Justin, I said, hey, I gave him a laundry list, like if you ever hear anything, you're seeing anything within your company, you know, let us know, because we want to be able to, you know, have some ideas. So he ran into this, at a meeting and he's like, he said, what we're asking for is the poster child for what this grant application's for. You can't see it. How come you can't see it?
You're not.
Are we there? Oh, it's delayed. So he brought this up and he said, the things you're describing, the traffic control and everything like that is absolutely what this DOT, grant is for. And basically what you ask for, they pay 80% of it, which is a really great grant. However, he heard about it a little late because the due date, is October 1st. That is really quick. And so,
I had to submit a letter of intent.
yeah, see, that's the thing. And so we missed the deadline for the letter of intent, but he said that if he, you know, based on the outcome of this meeting, he said that he would call and see if they would still be willing to accept our applications, or if they already received so many, they don't want to do it. So because sometimes there's malleability, if there isn't.
If there's money there.
Yeah, if there's money there and the people haven't, you know, fulfilled all the applications. So Justin's gonna check into that and let us know. So we may have something where, I'm sorry,
In order to be eligible to submit a full application for funding, you must previously submit a letter of intent.
Right.
form.
that's what he's gonna find out.
So
He's gonna find out if
if there's gray area.
yeah, if
that-
they'll let us anyway, is what he's gonna find out. And, you know, a lot of these things are really strict, but like he said, if the funding is available, they might let us do it.
The same people that wrote that, they rewrite it.
Well, there's that, there's a lot of grants that
that they-
have that July 15th deadline. And so, but it's good because that's why I said let's start looking now. Let's, you know, because there's a lot of stuff we missed too, like in April and in May and things like that because of, you know, timelines. And so, but now we're watching and we're trying to get it. So I'm not gonna waste your time with this tonight, but what I will tell you is that if it becomes an opportunity, you'll be hearing from me very quickly because then we need to put this together. And so, but I don't wanna waste your time if we don't get to do that. But what we could do is we can either find, you know, some shorter term solutions like what your speed sign is and things like that and look at that. But then definitely without question, make sure we're in for this one next year to help with a more solid solution. Another thing I thought of, I have no idea if it's even plausible, is what about volunteer crossing guards? Just, I mean, you smile good, I mean, we had
If the
those.
city is willing to do it, because I asked the school to do that last year and they said no.
Well, here's what's interesting is I was actually a crossing guard when I was in grade school.
That was the.
I was-
I know, and it was cool.
Part
It
of
was
your
cool.
citizenship.
Yeah, it was cool to do it. I mean, if you were crossing guard duty, it was like, it was a big deal. And it was something the
Sioux Falls still
upper,
does it.
it's something the upperclassmen do to help build relationships with the younger classmen because they get to know each other. And there's a lot of stuff there.
Don't athletes have to do community service?
I don't know.
But the
They
school
still-
put them out there.
The high
because
school
too much of
has
a
to.
liability is what they said. Which I get, because everybody's a little Sue happy and you don't want anybody to get hit, but what if we did have a volunteer group within the community where you had your older community members
Doing it instead.
that want to come out?
Well, and you guys, seriously, if we just do it during the school hours, doesn't that cure like 80% of the issues?
How much,
It cures the school issue.
I
In the
think
summertime,
80%
it
would
cures-
be-
I understand what you're saying, but you know, if I'm looking for a quick win and we're looking for quick solutions, that might be a way to do it. Or at least get us by until we
Like
come up with
Band-Aid
a,
it.
what's that?
To like Band-Aid it through.
Yeah, kind of get us through until we can, you know, do the due diligence, but cars, if someone has a stop sign and they stand in the middle of the road, you know,
I think 80% is a high percentage, because a lot of.
it was just an arbitrary number, it was an arbitrary number,
Pulling
that's all.
it from the.
But there's an obvious need on Sixth, Fifth, Douglas and Fourth, right? So it'd be really great, even if we had 4 people, you know, for that 1 hour of the 30 minutes before until, you know, school, you know, whatever, what is it, 7:45 until 8:15. I mean, it'd be 30 minutes even. You know, it's not as fun on really bad weather days, you know, when there's that, but,
We still have to do it after school too.
say, and then it would have to be an after-school thing too, so it would be interesting to see what the appetite was for people that would want to do that. It could be very, yeah,
I'd say the appetite is about as interesting as the amount of people that show up.
but there's a lot of moms that are concerned. There's a lot of moms that walk their kids to school that wouldn't mind just, you know, getting their kids to school, coming back and then helping other kids get to school.
And we had like an elderly neighbor who's just like thrived when the kids would come by his house and stuff. So that's something where I would see like, hey, so-and-so, this could be really fun.
It's
And
30
get
minutes,
them out.
it's 30 minutes
Put it in
twice a
shop.
day. But that's what I was thinking.
Ask for volunteers in the shop.
So, because I mean, that's something that we could do, and plus, you know, my big beef is community engagement. The more you get citizens out getting to know other citizens, it builds that sense of community that I think that we're kind of lacking in Baltic. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff going on, don't let me discount that, there's a lot of good stuff. But anything we can do to foster that even more, it's just a win for all of us.
It'll solve the kids walking issue, but it's not gonna,
Yeah, sure, as long as people mind,
it's not gonna,
as long as it's not.
it's not gonna solve the trucks coming into town.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I got an idea for that, because the harvest is just around the corner. It's not a popular one with truck drivers, and it's more of an honor system with the truck drivers. But if you put a dynamic braking sign
No, they don't work.
That doesn't.
farther out, they work, some don't.
I have Jay Brakes.
Well, I know,
All
I
three
have
are
them,
big.
I have them at work too, and I don't care that Sioux Falls, you know, because I go down a lot of hills too.
Yeah.
But some drivers actually abide by it.
I went as far as called the elevator and requested them to tell their customers.
Oh, yeah, that won't happen.
It went, no,
Yeah.
we're not doing that.
We have made so many phone calls to different
So have I.
companies and we made calls to the sheriff's department, non-emergency numbers saying, hey, we have an activity going on here and there's people speeding. Where are you? And
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
and they said,
It's
we
a
didn't
big
even,
problem.
we didn't know that there was an event going on.
That was the baseball.
And that was not true, because they knew that there was an event going on.
Maybe the mayor or council needs to sit down with the sheriff's department.
Well, I think the first thing we need to do is find the agreement.
Yeah,
We need to find the agreement, we need to review the agreement, and then see exactly what it is we're dealing with, because they could be adhering to the agreements, the letter of the law, and
Right.
we don't even know that. And
Right.
so then the next conversation is, do we want to renegotiate what that looks like, you know, based on, you know, what we feel is important as a new administration? That's definitely one course or outcome of this meeting.
one or
When
two
does that
Jacobs,
agreement expire?
Yeah, exactly.
Jacob said that, just as easy as an email, the city could request traffic studies.
Okay,
And so you can do, traffic quantity and also speed. And I asked him how, I can work.
That won't take much because all they do is put counters down for them.
Yeah, he said all I have to do is email.
All you
It
do is
doesn't need
email
to,
the
I asked him how much I had to go through to get that, he said just email.
okay,
And they can do it for,
Speed,
side streets too. So if you were thinking about putting a stop sign
how
up,
much cross
how much
traffic,
cross traffic is that gonna?
because that's the
what
one
do
thing
we
that,
reach for that, do you know?
I can give you Jacob's email address.
and one of the
Here's
things
just one
that's
on this,
not,
yeah.
probably not gonna meet the criteria of, because if Renner hasn't. If Renner Corner hasn't met the criteria for cross traffic and the need of a stop sign, 4-way, we're not.
Agreed.
It's just, there's not enough.
It's
People are
really-
gonna come, there won't be any side traffic. or
But
why would
I
stop?
think where we have a win is maybe a blinking red pedestrian sign or pedestrians right of way where they have to stop.
I think is a good idea.
Because then it's a red light, they have to stop. I mean, it's like, then it's a lot, you know?
But is the Renner Corner thing different than what it would be inside of Baltic? Because the Renner Corner, is it in the city limits of Renner?
That I don't know, and
So
I don't
they
think
got
Renner has
that.
really been pushed. That might be a whole county issue there.
Yeah, I was just positing it because of the
Right,
side traffic and
Where
the fact that.
we should have say it's our city streets.
I've been in a lot of small towns that have no cross traffic and they still have stop signs.
Mhm.
Yeah, Like, look at the barrel of the 4 stop signs in there.
Well, you look at North Cliff coming out of town. Right when you get past that last light heading north, it turns immediately to 55. And there's, because of all the houses there and the turning lane there. Half the traffic doesn't do 55, they do 45.
And half of them don't realize that it goes from being 2 to 1 lane.
Yeah,
And if you're not in the left lane, you probably need to get moved over.
Mhm.
yeah.
So I think this was good. I really appreciate you guys bringing all these thoughts together. I think it's nice that you did your due diligence. I appreciate that. I think it was a great example of what a citizen action committee should look like. And so what I have for action items is that I'm gonna pull that agreement so we can take a look at it. I will email Jacob, find out about traffic studies specifically. And then I will find pricing on these other things. So that way we can figure that out, because I think these are things that I think the city has to do. I don't think we can delegate that to
Did you
them.
get a budget meeting?
We're in the middle of
Where,
it.
yeah, right in the middle.
As I say, cause if that's not being considered, I don't. want
It,
that
it
to
would be
one.
for the streets. It'd be the
Okay.
bucket of street.
Another thing you can do before the flashing signs, fancy stuff, is, excuse me, you can get the movable plastic ones with the rubber base, that's a stop with pedestrian traffic. And start out with putting it out during school hours,
And I love that
right in the
idea.
middle, right on the hash line.
So then who does that?
I would think you would have to have Ryan do it,
Okay, because that's.
because the school probably won't do it because they don't wanna be liable.
City maintenance would do it, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
Well, that's right.
that's what I'm thinking, yeah,
What time does he start in the morning?
7.
It might be a routine to do the 7:15, 7:30.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Doing that on the 2 corners. Like,
That might
Yeah.
be a real
that'd
starting
be a
point.
good,
That would be a good starting
It
point,
would-
especially for kids. at school.
move along to your point about having someone do it. And versus just going and putting a sign up, cause I've seen that before in town, where they have one out around. school.
It makes a difference.
Yeah.
So then, do we want to broach the idea of volunteers? Because I mean, we can certainly promote it, but I don't know if we have the bandwidth to coordinate it. Does that make sense? We can certainly, if there's any equipment or supplies, the city, I'm sure we can find a way to take care of that. But as far as coordinating volunteers,
You would have to have like a sign up, an online sign up sheet, and somebody would have to make sure somebody was signed up every day.
And then someone's got a name.
Then nobody's there.
Whose fault is it when there's not somebody signed up
Right.
and the post is vacant and something
Right.
happens?
well, that's,
And you're not volunteering me,
I'm not volunteering you.
no. You got me.
Represent Ward 2, man, be out there.
Oh, she's got me out there on the.
I think we should noodle on that a little bit more, because if there's an app for that, you know, or if, would you want to look and see if there's like an app or a volunteer coordination kind of a thing? Do you have the bandwidth to check that out?
I can look, I don't.
Yeah,
I mean, it would just have to be,
We'll
it's,
look.
it's similar to like any school volunteer type work.
well, and the reason why I asked that is we can maybe implore the PTO to, promote it.
Oh, for the school,
Yeah, well, promote it,
right.
but, you know, and.
See what it leads into.
Well, and Cassie's really good at recruiting people to do things, so, you know. She's really good.
But where Ryan went and got all the phones and whatever, if you look at the same
They have it.
website, they'll have all that stuff. Or,
I'm just thinking if there's a way to simplify it, if there's an app and you can get on and you
Yeah.
can ask somebody else to replace you and it's super easy and we have a way to be successful and then there's a backup just in case. I think there might be a way to do that. I think that there are several people in town that would actually enjoy it and B, feel very useful doing it.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of grandmas and grandpas in this town. You know, that, you know, they can do that and then go to their morning coffee or do their morning coffee and then go do that. And then, you know, then there's moms and there's dads and, you know, cousins and
Maybe
hamsters.
city
and-
maintenance can be the backup, if they're rolling signs on.
I think their bandwidth is long enough, but.
Oh, not standing there, I mean,
Yeah.
just pulling signs. up.
Yeah, I mean, signs, I think that is a really interesting solution. And, you know, it's gonna be different on days where they have to remove snow. That's gonna be a little trickier. But, cause they'll be tied up with that, but you know,
they can go around it, the salt will melt it off the next day. I
so
go
there's
around
problem
cones,
solved.
I go around cones all the time in town.
I just don't want to voluntold my maintenance. I gotta check with them first and see how they are with that.
It's in the.
Learning all sorts.
I got voluntold last night.
He was voluntold last night.
Yeah,
And it seems like it kind of wrinkles a little.
Yeah.
everything she does wrinkles.
I mean, it's something that we could bring up at church too, because there's older.
I just think that we have a real opportunity here. And for 30 minutes in the morning and 30 minutes in the afternoon, while the weather's still nice to get people in the habit of it, I think it'd be really interesting. And then maybe in inclement weather, the alternative is the rolling stop sign. So when it's nice, it's people. When the weather's stinky, then we do the stop sign. And between the combination of the two, maybe some people will be like, I don't care if the weather's bad, I'm gonna be there for the kids. I mean, you never know how people are gonna respond to this. I think it's a phenomenal idea to say, we're stepping up to keep our kids safe.
And then it's another step. Because like you said, that there's parents that don't want their kids to walk, well, now they're paying the school to ride the bus.
Yeah.
And since you have to pay to ride the buses if you're under a certain age, this might be an opportunity for parents to save money, plus the school doesn't have to have an extra bus and you
And
keep
this
your
is-
kids walking, because right now, I take my kids to school every morning and I don't see a lot of kids walking
Yeah.
at all.
There's a big lineup of cars down there before and after.
Oh, yeah.
But it
and
might
they-
change.
Yeah.
That might change.
Like-
Well, and we're looking at walkability and we're looking at ways for kids to get across the street. And we're looking at things. And so the timing of this grant is not ideal, but at least we know we have another solution there that could be a little more permanent. I think these are great temporary solutions. You check and see if there's an app. You start noodling on messaging, like how do we call it a fun name? Do we, you know what I mean? Maybe we give them T-shirts, I don't know, it's something, the Velcro orange belt, not. But do you know what I mean? I know, if you want a Velcro orange belt, you can have one, I guess.
It's fluorescent green.
But I mean, if, let's think about that. Let's, maybe you could brainstorm different groups of people because you've been here for so long, maybe it's, PTO, maybe it's church, maybe it's Boy Scouts, maybe it's senior project, someone's senior project. I mean, you have 4 students that have to do a senior project. This would be something that could last all year long and their mentor could be the police officer that comes every morning. And it gives them that connection.
If
You know,
there's any, they won't take it on.
I will tell you that the school has been or the teacher that oversees senior project is very receptive to the creativity of helping the city at the same time accomplishing a senior project. So if there's kids that want to be in law enforcement, this would be an ideal program for them.
Would there be an age limit because of the school liability? So would
I
they
don't
have to be
know.
over the age of 18?
I don't know, or at least 16.
And then there's the other issue. How do you keep the school kids at the crosswalks?
I don't,
Because we've all seen them popping up out of the,
I think if we make a concerted effort on those 4 streets, I think they're coming down that street anyway. Why would they go in and then cut halfway and come across if there's opportunities on each corner? But that's me and I'm not a kid anymore. It's been a long time since I've been a kid. So I don't know. But if they're coming down the street and there's an opportunity to cross,
As long as this is all short term, because this situation, this solution we're positing right now is centralized to the school area. Doesn't do anything for the outside.
Agreed.
Right.
It doesn't
Right.
do anything for
But I'm thinking
summertime.
short- but I'm
Going to
thinking
the
short-
baseball field.
visible wins, but if we have this system in place, if we know there's a baseball tournament, maybe someone will sign up for crosswalks. If we have a situation like Bulldog Days, maybe we'll have crosswalk people for that too, or a traffic solution. I think it's worth exploring.
Sure.
Yeah, homecoming. I mean, I think it's worth
Yeah.
exploring because, nothing's gonna be the lead person standing there going, stop, I
Well, if you're
got
gonna,
duckies coming through, you know?
if stop signs become a prerogative of the city, you might as well put a 5th one up at Classic Corner.
Well, I'm just saying,
You know,
it's, there's
so there's both
lots,
sides.
there's lots of there.
Right,
So-
right. But to get the ball rolling,
I'm looking what is the most cost-effective solution we can do that we feel would make a difference? Obviously, volunteers would be doing that, rolling stop signs.
In
is
the
a great way
meantime,
to do
before you
that.
get the volunteers,
Yeah.
because there's always, oh yeah, I can help, but oh, I can't, I got stuff going on.
Well, and that's where an app comes in, that's where, having a point
Yeah,
person
yeah.
comes in, rolling stop signs helps, so there's. The backup could be the rolling stop sign, that kind of thing, and plus new programs like this always take time to.
Yeah, nothing's gonna happen right away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so, but I think the fact that we're having the conversation and we can kind of start promoting it and see if there's interest. I mean, if there's an interest, well, then it's dead in the water, but if there's interest, how exciting would that be? So, and then we'll do research on the costs of these different solutions. And then I'll definitely get a hold of Jacob on traffic studies. And so is there any other ideas? Because I want to be respectful of your time and we have 9 minutes left and we're done. So anything else that we need to do?
I forget that he had sent us an email.
Yeah.
What did, oh. did you get
It's
that,
the
Doug?
right of way at intersections that he gave
Do that
us.
first.
Perfect. Yeah. Well, this Jacob sounds very, very helpful.
It was, and he said he was Hollywood or something in Crooks and they had this similar issue going through town.
Okay, Deb, I think maybe if we're talking a temporary thing with people at crosswalks, we still maybe should look at a combination.
Oh,
Where we're still-
absolutely.
Where we're still doing the reduced speed ahead
Right.
type signage. And
Like I said, I think it's a layered approach. Let's figure out cost effective, quick, and then go into more permanent,
Yeah.
effective, and let's experiment. What if we do something that turns out horrible? Or what if we surprise ourselves and all of a sudden we have 20 people that want to do crosswalks?
Okay.
I mean, if you think about it, you could do it once a month. And then what do we need? 4 to 12 people, and once a month you got it covered. And so, it just depends. We have to see what citizens are interested in, but we don't know anything until we ask.
Right.
And, so to me, that's a great place to start, but I say we try to do some work on this. When do we want to come back together? Because I need to get this booked, because my schedule gets really crampy really quick.
Do you know how soon you'll be able to find out about that?
I am
That
probably
grant.
gonna need at least 2 weeks to get to do the due diligence, put it together and then have a meeting.
Okay.
And so,
It's
it's
probably,
gonna
But
push
you
it
have to
out
push
of
it.
October 1st.
oh, okay, all right, let me put it this way. I'll talk to Justin tomorrow. And if there's an answer, then I'll call you guys and we'll meet straight away. If not, then I'll put out feelers for a meeting time, maybe in 2 weeks. How's that sound? Okay. I have all your guys' phone numbers, so I'll do it via text.
Yep.
Okay, so I'll just make a little group text. If you have anybody that that wants to join this conversation or has an interest in safety, traffic, streets, that kind of thing, please invite them. And then I'm gonna have this recording on the website. So just have someone show up. Oh, I think Zach just showed up. Hi, Zach. We were just wrapping up. I think you can talk. You're muted, but I think that you can talk if you want to, Zach. Did you have anything you wanted to add since you have no idea what we said before you got on?
No, I really don't have much of a dog in this fight living on the other side of town. I'm just showing up to see what the discussion was about, so.
Oh, very cool. Well, I tell you what, as soon as we end, which will be in the next minute or so, I'm gonna have this posted. You can watch the meeting, and if you have any comments you want to share, just let us know. Okay, Zach?
Thank you.
Hey, thanks. Have a good night. I am going to stop the recording. And then we will figure